You want your vocals to sound very unique to you, and a big component of that is how you process your vocals. What's up, guys? This is Valentina with Bigger Creations, and today I'm going to show you how I do the delay on my main vocals. Man, that is just smooth. You want your vocals to sound very unique to you, and a big component of that is how you process your vocals. So today I'm going to break down how I process delay on my vocals and how I add a little bit of character and some of the things that you can do to add your own little spin to how you do your delay. Let's add some vocals, baby.
In my mind and tell me that it's fine. You help me unwind what I'm feeling inside. What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you think that I'm beautiful? Do you think I'm beautiful? What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you think that I'm beautiful? Do you think I'm beautiful?
So you heard the vocals. I'm going to break down what I did on the lead vocals as far as the delay and show you what I did to make this sound a little bit more unique than just a regular vocal with reverb slapped on it. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Now, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of courses to choose from. Literally any creative thing that you want to learn, chances are there's something about it on Skillshare. And honestly, I love using Skillshare. Now, if you've been watching YouTube producers and tutorials and things and you're a true OG, like from 2010, then you know who Graham from the Recording Revolution is. And he has a course on Skillshare that I've been watching all about how to mix at home with stock plugins. I just love seeing other people's processes and learning from them. And it's been super cool to take this course. If you want to check out Skillshare and see what other courses they have available and learn something new, then the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. So let's take a look at the main vocal.
What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you think that I'm beautiful? Do you think I'm beautiful?
Okay, I'm gonna take off the delay and show you what it sounds like without it.
What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you think that I'm beautiful? Do you think I'm beautiful? What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you think that I'm beautiful? Do you think I'm beautiful?
It's really subtle once you add the whole mix in there, but it really adds a sense of space and dynamics to the vocal. Whenever adding delay to your vocals, the main thing you want to do is make sure that you're bussing out that effect. Basically, you just go to any open bus and select it, and then that's where you're going to add your layer of effects. So you'll see here, I've selected bus number 12 because it was the one I had empty, and I added all of my effects on this track right here, on this send. So rather than it being on my main vocal chain, I've put it on a bus. Now, the reason why it's important to put it on a bus is because that makes it so that you're able to control it better than when it's just on the main vocal chain. You can actually control how much of the vocal is being sent to the effect and essentially the volume of the effect. So that's the first step. Make sure it's on a bus. So what I've done here, I'm just going to turn off these effects and I'm going to go one by one. And you can use any delay that you want. This one is from Waves, which if you're interested in getting this one, there's going to be a link in the description. But I like this one because it's very simple. It sounds great. And it also includes some EQing. So you'll notice that there's a high pass filter and a low pass filter. And you're able to get rid of some of the low frequencies and get rid of some of the high frequencies and just make your delay live kind of in that mid range. Obviously, you can select where you want your delay to live. I like it to be in the middle, kind of similar to where my reverb lives. So I like using this plugin because I don't have to add a separate EQ in addition to the delay to get my delay to sound how I want it. Now, if you don't have this plugin and you're just using the stock delay, that's totally fine. What you're gonna wanna do is after the delay, you'll want to add an EQ, and you can just, go in and add a regular EQ and then select what you want it to be. So in this case, essentially, if I'm doing a high pass and a low pass filter, then essentially I'm, as far as I go, I'm doing this, and then you can always increase this. So it gives you kind of like a telephone effect, maybe, depending on how you do this. But essentially, if you have a delay plugin that doesn't give you the ability to EQ, you can always add just a separate layer of EQ on that same bus channel, and it will give you the same effect. But one of the reasons I choose to use this plugin is because it already includes it, and it just makes it one less plugin that I have to put on there. So I love that. The other thing that I love about this plugin is that it automatically detects your BPM, and then it does the math for you, right? There's a lot of math involved in delays and how to make them hit the right pockets in your music. If you've seen my video on how to do the proper reverb calculation for your vocals, then you know what I'm talking about, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that, I'll put that up here. But this plugin does the math for you. You can select where in the music you want the delay to happen, how quickly after you deliver the phrase. So there's no math that you have to do, because I hate math. So right now, basically this knob here in the delay lets you select how delayed you want that signal to be. So in this case, I want it to be 1/8 of a second. That's about where I want it to be. Now you can do pretty much wherever you want. It'll just give you a different type of sound. And so just experiment with that. But you'll be able to see the difference, and you'll be able to easily identify which one you want for the song you're on just by moving this knob. Mess with the knob, decide how quickly you want the delay to happen. This is 1/8 right now.
What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you think that I'm beautiful?
Now if I move it to 1/16,
Do you think I'm beautiful?
sounds a little bit more like closer to the vocal, a little less delayed. And if we go to like 32,
What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you think
you can like barely notice it, but it's there. It's definitely a different type of sound. And then if we go to 1/16,
that I'm beautiful? Do you think I'm beautiful?
so personally for this, I want it to be at 1/8. And then you can decide how much feedback you want here. It's basically how much does it continue to go on and delay upon delay afterwards. Right here I have it pretty low because I don't want it to get super messy. Now that I talk about it getting really messy, if you really exaggerate this and make it really loud in the mix, so I'm gonna turn this all the way up. So right now I have it at negative 12 dB, but if I actually do the send all the way, you're gonna hear how muddy it is. So this is what it sounds like if I have the bus all the way at 100% here.
What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess on you?
The delay is just kind of layering on top of the vocal, and it's distracting. It doesn't feel like it's there on purpose or artistically. So that's why you want to mess with how much you do here. So let's go back to, like negative 12.
Think that I'm beautiful. Do you think I'm beautiful?
So the next knob I want to talk about is feedback. Now with feedback, basically it's just the amount of times you want it to repeat after the delay happens. So right now I have it at 10. If I were to move it up, you're going to hear a huge difference. Watch this.
What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you think that I'm beautiful?
Did you see how long that goes on for? And that's just going to add more noise and just kind of distraction in your track. So you don't want to put that to be like super crazy. But it all depends on the project, of course. But for this project, I decided 10 was just fine.
Am I just a mess or do you?
Really just repeats very, very little. What I was talking about regarding the EQ. Now with the EQ, again, if you don't have it in here, you're just going to add it separately after your delay. So that it impacts your delay track. But basically here, I'm just moving these knobs to take away some of those high frequencies and take away some of the low frequencies. So it's just playing kind of that middle area. And then the last knob here is, dry and wet, and that's self-explanatory. This is what that sounds like just with the delay on there.
Think that I'm beautiful. Do you think I'm beautiful?
Now, there's something I want to do to this. I really only want the delay to happen at the end of every word or phrase, I guess you could say. I don't want it to be like super distracting that it's happening on top of the original vocal. So the way to do this is to sidechain. So what I've done here is I've just added a compressor, and this one is from Waves, but you can use any compressor that you have that allows for sidechaining. And what I've done here is I've just selected here under sidechain and selected this same bus. So when you select the same bus, it's basically sidechaining to the original vocal. So whenever the original vocal is happening, the delay is going to kind of like compress and duck out a little bit, and then the vocal finishes, and then the delay is going to come in. So that's going to give us the effect that we're looking for, where we want at the end of the phrase the delay to happen and not in the middle of the phrase, where then it just sounds like there's too many voices happening at once. You'll notice this especially when you make a heavier delay than what I've got here. So once you select that as your sidechain, it's going to react. So listen to the difference here.
Am I just a mess or do you think that I'm beautiful? Do you think I'm beautiful? What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you?
So it's subtle, but if you're listening, you can really, really understand what's happening here. Basically, it's just taking a step back while the main vocal's happening, and then the delay kicks in. So this is super, super important, and this is probably the most important thing I could teach you about delays and what I do with them, because it just makes it a little bit cleaner and a little bit easier to listen to instead of feeling like you're in this big echo chamber. The other settings that I've adjusted here in the compressor are just the threshold and the ratio. You can also mess with the attack and the release, but you'll see how the waveform actually changes to show you what's happening here. But I've got my ratio set up at 10 and my threshold at negative 35, and it seems to work well for this vocal. So that is side chaining. So now that you've got it side chained, at this point, it's really just more of adding any sort of finishing or unique touch to your vocal layer. So there's a couple of things you can do. You can add an imager to kind of widen it. So that's what I've done here. And I've put it all the way wide. So listen to the difference here without it.
What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you think that I'm beautiful?
And with it.
What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you think that I'm beautiful?
So you'll notice the delay just sounds more wide, and you can exaggerate this. Like if you add reverb to your delay and make it like super huge reverb, that's going to make your delay sound a lot bigger. So experiment with adding other stylistic effects here. Some of the other things you could do is like add a flanger. I don't know how to say that, but basically you can adjust how intense you want it to be. So I'm gonna exaggerate it just so you can get an idea of what it sounds like.
What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you think that I'm beautiful? Do you think I'm beautiful? What do I look like to you? Am I just a mess or do you?
So you can be as extreme or as subtle as you want, but that's another way to add some style to this. You can also mess with your EQ. Your EQ will make a huge difference on what that delay sounds like and what space it lives in. So that's a little insight into how I do the delay for my vocals. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed because there's a lot of things coming up soon. We're literally about to hit 50K like any day now, and there's gonna be big things coming. So make sure you're subscribed. Thank you so much for your support. And as always, if you ever have any questions or wanna see more content, check me out on Instagram. Keep making beats.